Jomo Kenyatta. Kenyatta was born Kamaua Ngengi. He was an anti-colonial activist, Pan-Africanist, and nationalist. His exact date of birth is unknown, but presumed to be around 1894. He was born in Ichaweri, a small Kikuyu farming village located in the southwest of Mount Kenya in formerly British East Africa, but now Kenya. He spent his childhood in the countryside, heading the family's flock. Kenyatta received his preliminary and technical education at the Scottish Mission Center at Thogoto, a suburb in Kiambu County, Kenya, and that laid the foundation for Kenyatta's later academic pursuits. After completing his education, Kenyatta embarked on a multifaceted career, initially as a clerk in the Public Works Department to an interpreter in the High Court, and later as a teacher, where he began to engage with political activism, advocating for the rights of Kenyans. In 1922, Kenyatta joined the first ever anti-white settler protest movement, the East Africa Association (EAA), which campaigned for the return of lands given out to white settlers when Kenya became a British Crown colony in 1920. Following pressure from the colonial government, the East Africa Association was disbanded in 1925. Kenyatta and other activists, however, regrouped and formed the Kikuyu Central Association to address colonial challenges faced by the Kikuyu people. 3 years afterwards, Kenyatta became the association's general secretary. In 1929, Kenyatta traveled to Great Britain to testify against the colonial government's scheme to merge its 3 East African territories, namely Kenya, Uganda, and Tanganyika, into a closer union, a proposal Kenyatta considered disastrous to Kenyans' interests. Unfortunately, the Secretary of State for the British colonies refused to meet Kenyatta. This infuriated him, and he wrote a stern letter to the Secretary of State that was published in London's Times newspaper, warning the British to take back their proposal, or else the situation will result in a dangerous explosion. The colonial government in 1932 abandoned its plan for a closer union of its East African territories and even loosened up on appropriated lands by offering compensations to landowners. Kenyatta, all happy and proud due to the victory, traveled to the Soviet Union to study economics at the Moscow State University. He later enrolled into the London School of Economics to study social anthropology. Kenyatta's busy schedules with studies cut him off from the activities of the Kikuyu Central Association, although he continued to campaign for Kikuyu rights, publishing several books and pamphlets including a study of the Kikuyu language. Kenyatta also kept working for black rights and was deeply involved in organization of the 5th Pan-African Congress that took place in Manchester, England in October 1945 and was attended by anti-colonial and African nationalists from around the African continent and from the diaspora. Kenyatta returned to Kenya in 1946 and he took up the post of a principal at the Kenya African Teachers College, KATC, in Githunguri, a locality in Kiambu County, Kenya. In June 1947, he was elected president of the newly formed Kenya African Union, a political organization through which he lobbied for independence from British colonial rule, attracting widespread indigenous support but animosity from the white settlers in Kenya. Kenyatta in 1952 was charged for masterminding an anti-colonial Mau Mau revolt directed against the presence of European settlers in Kenya and their ownership of lands. Although he protested innocence, he was convicted and imprisoned for 7 years. Despite his incarceration, Kenyatta's influence grew leaps and bounds. In August 1961, Kenyatta was released from prison on the condition that he wouldn't run for public office. However, 7 days after his release, he was freed from all forms of restriction. In 1962, Kenyatta attended a London conference during which he negotiated the terms of Kenya's independence. A general election was conducted in May 1963. It was the first one to be held on full franchise in Kenya, and without communal representation, Kenyatta's party, the Kenya African National Union, won with an overwhelming majority both in parliamentary seats and popular vote. Kenyatta emerged as the prime minister and a year later led Kenya into full sovereign independence, becoming the first president of the republic. Using the slogan Harambee, a Swahili word for "let's all put together," Kenyatta succeeded in unifying various factions, including merging his party with the then leading opposition party, the Kenya African Democratic Union (KADU), to form a giant national party, thus creating a one-party state in Kenya in 1964. Despite his quest for centralization and the strongly Kikuyu nature of his government, Kenyatta appointed members of the other ethnic groups to various political posts and also in the legislature. He also reached out to white settlers, asking them to stay in Kenya to help make Kenya an economic success.
Mr. Kenyatta, some of the 60,000 European settlers here are frightened that their titles to land and their right to stay in Kenya may be thrown overboard when a Kenyan administration takes over.
Well, I don't think they have anything to fear, providing that they behave as a good citizen.
And so things gone better or worse than you expected?
Oh, far better. They've gone infinitely better than I thought they would.
Oh, they've gone better than I expected.
And who do you give the credit for that to?
To Jomo Kenyatta and his government.
His tenure as president witnessed the implementation of various policies that expanded access to universal education, improved Kenya's socio-economic disparities, and promoted indigenous empowerment, laying the foundation for Kenya's post-colonial trajectory. Kenyatta's resilience and strategic vision inspired fellow freedom fighters and galvanized the struggle for independence across the continent. Jomo Kenyatta's influence extended beyond Kenya's borders as he emerged as a significant figure in the Pan-African movement, recognizing the interconnected struggles of African nations against colonialism and imperialism. He forged alliances with other African leaders and supported initiatives aimed at advancing the interests of the continent as a whole. Kenyatta's diplomatic engagements with organizations such as the Organization of African Unity (OAU) underscored his dedication to promoting unity and cooperation among African nations. Moreover, his advocacy for African cultural heritage and identity resonated with the broader Pan-Africanist ethos, emphasizing the importance of reclaiming Africans' dignity in the face of colonial legacies. Jomo Kenyatta's legacy as a Pan-Africanist endures, serving as a testament to his commitment to the ideals of unity, liberation, and self-determination across the African continent. While his leadership may be subject to scrutiny and debate, his contributions to the Pan-African movement remain significant, inspiring future generations of African leaders and activists. Kenyatta's vision of a united and prosperous Africa continues to inform efforts to address contemporary challenges and realize the full potential of the continent. Jomo Kenyatta died in his sleep on 22nd August 1978 while in Mombasa. Kenyatta was buried on 31st August 1978 in Nairobi at the mausoleum in the grounds of Parliament.